Today's video features an evolution disproving chicken. I'm really hoping the argument will come down to that old classic, what came first, the chicken or the egg, because that will be the funniest possibility.
There's a viral clip on TikTok about one of the guys from Duck Dynasty exposing macroevolution by observing a chicken, okay? And after you hear what he has to say about this chicken and how the egg couldn't have came from another animal, it makes a lot of sense, okay? I want to show you guys this video. I thought it was pretty nice. Let's hop in this video, watch it, and react to it. Before we do me a quick favor. Hit that like button for the algorithm so that this video can reach more people like yourself. I truly appreciate you guys. Let's hop in.
You keep talking about chickens. If Jesus is who he said he is, that means he created that rooster.
Right.
Why is he bringing that up? And I've used this in my speech. They're like, why do you keep talking about chickens? Number one, Jesus brought it up in a very defining moment. If you don't believe that God is the creator of everything, you go with this theory of evolution. The world is 4.5 billion years old, and all these things have evolved. So
I'll stop here, not because anything scientific is being misrepresented, but actually to defend religion, kind of. To pit an acknowledgement of the fact of evolution happening in the world against any religious belief is a false dichotomy. Plenty of people accept the validity of evolution while still practicing every form and sect of Christianity out there. Nothing forces people to choose between them beyond their personal feelings.
here I am one day, a duck call maker doing seminars. We're battling these people saying there's no God. He didn't create this. It's all science and evolution. The strong will survive. There was a process. And I'm saying,
Okay, that was a lot all at once. I can absolutely buy that some anti-theistic people would choose to go after a famous person professing belief in Christianity, but I don't buy the description of their supposed positions. No one would phrase any description as it's all science and evolution. Firstly, because evolutionary biology is part of science, and secondly, because that description is uselessly vague. The mention of the strong will survive is, I assume, a gross mischaracterization of the process of natural selection, possibly the process he refers to. Essentially, I think I'm being told a load of crap here, and we haven't even really gotten to the chickens yet.
sitting there on my back porch looking at a bunch of chickens packing around in the dirt. And I'm saying, the chicken made it? After all that, if I did believe what you're saying, he made it? Look, not only did he make it, for every one human being, there are 9 chickens on the planet.
Oh boy, I don't think I've seen someone make a design argument this bad since, Ray Comfort.
Hold this, Kurt. Behold the atheist's nightmare. Now, if you study a well-made banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 ridges. On the close side, 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 grooves, on the close side 2 grooves. The banana and the hand are perfectly made one for the other.
Modern chickens are a domesticated animal. They've undergone artificial selection by human-directed breeding, so any of the characteristics that seem like they'd stop the chicken from surviving in the wild easily could be from people changing them. Chickens vastly outnumber humans for a very similar reason. Humans choose to make protected breeding and living environments for chickens to reproduce much more than they would be able to in the wild. Chickens are one of the closest creatures to an existence to be something made by people. How is an argument from incredulity about chickens surviving in the wild supposed to work when they were never a wild animal in the first place?
We're outnumbered by the chicken. Look, despite the fact we're eating millions a day, there's a restaurant every 40 yards selling chicken, of which I participated in this morning. So I looked it up, but a question, and now that we have artificial intelligence, you get quite the responses of taking all the information out there. Started asking questions like, if the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, how did the chicken make it? Now look.
I hope that AI responded, "That question is too vague. Please rephrase," because I sure wouldn't try and answer that if he asked me.
Look, you know what popped up all over the place? The red jungle fowl. This beastly critter is the wild father of all chickens. And now look, it didn't come on the scene until 5,000 to 8,000 years ago.
No. He clearly didn't understand what the AI was summarizing for him. Domestication in chickens is estimated to have occurred approximately 8,000 years ago. The wild subspecies diverged from the other birds of the jungle fowl genus between 4 and 6 million years ago. I'm still flabbergasted at some people's inability to do a basic internet search for these questions.
Boy, what are we going to do about those 4.5 billion years? Don't fret, because guess what? They've determined, theorized is the better word, that the chickens are the cousins of the T-Rex dinosaur, which means that T-Rex dinosaurs taste like chicken.
No, determined is in fact the far better word there, because theory has a very specific meaning in science, while the word usage here implies a guess. As for the relation of a chicken to a Tyrannosaurus, this is taken from a 2008 paper in the journal Science, where researchers compared preserved soft tissue material in a T-Rex bone to the equivalent tissues from a variety of current species of animals. The samples containing protein sequences most similar to the T-Rex tissue were samples from a chicken and an ostrich. This is not a genetic study or a morphological study, it's only biomolecule data. This research produced evidence supporting that the living animals T-Rex is most closely related to is birds generally, as represented by a chicken and an ostrich. As for what T-Rex meat might have tasted like, there's never been a study that even proposes to research that. Maybe they did taste like chicken, or maybe they tasted like crocodile, maybe they tasted like nothing humans have ever eaten. We just don't know.
No, you can't make this up, Al. I believe even Jesus using that as a signal. He wants you to take a look at that chicken and how it did survive. I think there's a reason in that, because it just brings so many holes in these types of arguments. Because here's the problem. I read everything you can read on how the chicken got here.
Well, that's just a lie. If he had read everything, he'd have known the difference between the species emergence time period and the domestication time period.
Fascinating is that the eggs that chickens produce, it had to go through a process. It used to be soft. It evolved through millions of years, and it suddenly became hard. Because do you know a chicken egg, they incubate their eggs so other chickens can arrive on the planet. But it said it took millions of years for that process to evolve. How did they survive during that process? How would you survive? What I'm saying is very simple.
I think he's asking how the eggs of birds could have survived before hard shells were developed. Perhaps the birds didn't incubate their eggs by brooding before then. We see plenty of species of animals that lay eggs with a wide variety of types of shells, so it's pretty easy to imagine how eggs with a different shell could be protected until hatching. For example, alligators bury their eggs for warmth and protection. I don't think it's even worth really looking into what we specifically know about egg-laying predecessors of birds that had soft-shelled eggs, given the variety of egg types and protection strategies we see today. Even if it's something that we don't actually know, This doesn't demonstrate that chicken eggs couldn't have evolved.
The fact that the creator of the universe in human form acknowledged that there would be a crowing, I believe he created that rooster. And I believe that his divine intervention carried that chicken through so we could have a chicken place every 40 yards and supply the Earth's food system.
That is utterly ridiculous. Even if I charitably assume he's talking about a wild jungle fowl rooster, no sexually reproducing species populates from a single breeding pair. Genetics shows us that it is definitively not the case that God made a single rooster to beget the world's population of chickens.
But it makes no sense when you take God out of the equation because of the quote concerning the egg shell that I am fixing to read. I gave a worldly question, no Christianity attached to this whatsoever. I just did a simple Google search and said, how did chickens evolve? To find this, as wild chickens gradually evolved from their ancestors over millions of years, we've already gone through that with the dinosaurs and all that, there must have been a moment. Now, I want to read this very carefully. There must have been a moment when a bird that was not quite a chicken laid an egg containing a mutated embryo that hatched into the first chicken. The mutant hatchling from the not yet now chicken egg. I kid you not. The mutant hatchling from the not yet now chicken egg represented a new creation. That fascinating.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, great. If it doesn't seem to make sense, then show how the process couldn't have happened. To clarify on what Mr. Duck Call read, yes, there would have been a first chicken born in the manner he presented, but what's missing here is that the first chicken wouldn't have been alone. An entire group of chickens would have also been hatching at the time, plus the not quite a chicken species that these birds developed from would have still been able to breed with the newly emerged chickens. I don't understand why this speciation event would be considered a creation, but then I'm not an expert on the Bible. Mr. Duck Call saying mutant over and over might be some sort of attempt to make the concept sound more preposterous for his audience, but that's still nothing but personal incredulity on his part.
It was a mutation in this red fowl bird that looks similar to a chicken, right? But we believe, obviously, that God made kinds of creatures, right? So the tiger is similar to a cat, right? Because they're both feline. That's easier to believe than one chicken that's mutated, creating an entirely new creation.
What the heck is that even supposed to mean? I already pointed out that evolution does not propose a single individual was or could ever be the progenitor of a sexually reproducing species, so that's bunk. The guy making this video also clearly doesn't realize chickens are domesticated, but I'll address his statement as if he were referring to the jungle fowl itself instead. How does this emergence of this bird not fit into the creationist pseudo-model of kinds? On top of that, what can the proposal of kinds explain about chickens which isn't already explained by evolution of the wild population? Also, what even is a new creation?
That chicken survived and had baby chickens that were mutated that created the chickens that we know today.
All the smoke cleared on all this nonsense about a chicken. Somebody finally ponied up and said it was just a new creation. It just came out of nowhere.
Actually, it came out of a cloaca.
Because they can't explain how that shell became hard over millions of years. It wasn't the chicken that was the problem, it was the shell. Because God made that shell so complex there is absolutely no answer whatsoever for how that could have happened to sustain their species. There's no reasonable explanation.
I guess he's gonna make me look it up. Fine. Whatever. Well, having done some research now, I'll be starting off this part with a question. Have you ever heard of a bird that normally lays a soft-shelled egg? I can promise you haven't, because none of them do. Birds only lay soft-shelled eggs when they're suffering from nutrient deficiencies. The hard shell of eggs is not only a bird trait, it's a trait for the entire dinosaur clade they're a part of, the theropods. Theropods have been laying hard-shelled eggs ever since they first emerged around 230 million years ago. Little wonder that chickens have always laid hard-shelled eggs. Their ancestors had already evolved that capability hundreds of millions of years in the past.
So that's my argument, and that's why I know his point wasn't about consider the chicken. But by bringing it up, you analyze something that he created as a creature with all the colors, because there's 162 different kinds of chicken. Just looked at each one and had a chicken show, which I would encourage someone to do this somewhere on this planet. You would conclude that there must be a divine creator.
Yes.
No way did all of that in the last 8,000 years happen just because of domestication.
Well, as a matter of fact, all of the varieties of chicken, just like all of the varieties of house cat and dog, are the result of domestication. There is an intelligence involved. It happens to be artificial selection performed by human intelligence.
The sophistication to the domestication, it's called God Almighty. And
It's way easier to just look at Genesis and see that it says God made the wild animals according to their kinds.
The wild animals. Modern chickens are not wild animals. You've got to be kidding me here.
The livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds, and God saw that it was good. Okay, so the fact that there are, like he said, 162 different kinds of chickens is the work of God.
No, it's not. It is literally the work of human beings. We have archaeological evidence and historical records of chicken farming going back over 4,000 years.
That these kinds of chickens didn't mutate from other kinds and then over time continue to mutate. But God made chickens, and he made the kinds of chickens so that all of the variation of chickens all fall under the creation of God.
Ugh. How are people this stupid?
John 1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word is Jesus Christ. He was with God in the beginning. Through him, all things were made. Without him, nothing was made that has been made, including chickens.
Human scientists have caused the emergence of new species of creatures multiple times in lab studies over the last 50 years. The Holy Script was apparently written without an awareness of this.
In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So Christ made chickens.
You know, I think the thing that pisses me off more than the scientific ignorance is the willingness to try and strip genuine achievements of people away from them and hand it to a supernatural entity. I know if I was a chicken farmer, I would hate this guy for how he's demeaning my profession.
Through Christ, all things were created. So that means that Christ made all of the variations of chickens, including the ones that we eat today. Let me know how y'all feel about this video in the comment section, okay?
Yeah, I'd like to see anyone reporting the Son of Man walking out of a chicken coop since he was so involved in their making. Well, as it so happens, I did let the video maker know how I feel about this production of his in the comments, and now you know too. Try not to be stupid.